Hey, how's it going, everybody? It is Sunday, and normally that would mean a Q&A video for you guys with Sunday's mailbag, or Sunday Q&A, I think is what we're going to be calling it. But there's actually just a ton of stuff that I need to talk about. So videos, we got to start crushing through some of these. Today's video is actually going to be about something I talked about in September of 2019. And quite honestly, I went back and watched the video. Our content's come a long way. What is up, everybody? Lawler here, your inside source for all things Rocket League. Got two things we're going to be talking about today. Primarily the Intel World Open, now that it is back on the menu, and for better or worse. I mean, it's an Olympic event. It's pretty cool. It's just not what we are looking for. On the other side of it, we're going to be talking about some mentality things going on with Justin. The reason why I'm pairing these two topics together is because this announcement has basically shown that even though the world is starting to get back to normal, Rocket League continues to not do any live events, which is starting to force a lot of frustrations, and that realization is setting in and coming to the terms of like, I don't know how much longer I can take this. I miss certain things. So the first part of the video is going to be talking about the Intel World Open, what it was, where it is now, and then talking about the mentalities afterwards. So we got a couple different parts. Obviously, if you guys want to follow along, or if you have any questions, description down below. Anything you'd like to know, links to that, as well as links to my social medias. If you guys would like to actually talk about this in further detail outside of the video, I do stream every day, except for Tuesday, at twitch.tv/Lawler. Come hang out with us. We'd love to sit and talk and chat a little bit more long form with some of these. We'd love to have you. It's usually pretty good discussion, open-ended. Anybody can say whatever they want, as long as it is, you know, respectful and stuff like that. So it's always a good time. And usually there's like some memes. Sometimes I draw terrible pictures on MS Paint. It's pretty fun. So the original plan for the Intel World Open was that it was going to be an introduction into the 2020 Olympics in Tokyo. The whole point of it was that there was going to be a Street Fighter V tournament and a Rocket League tournament. And this was, keep in mind, before free-to-play was announced. A lot of us thought that this was going to be kind of like the testing grounds to see if they wanted to bring in like Asian Rocket League as one of the regions as like a wild card or something like that. Like, we thought they were going to do this, and then with the kind of the worldwide eyes on the event, also announce free-to-play. That's what felt like was going to happen. All of this got canceled and postponed because of the pandemic. As you guys know, since roughly like February, March in the United States, we've been under a global pandemic. People haven't been able to travel, do anything. A lot of people are losing their jobs. It's been terrible. I'm officially vaccinated now. I'm excited to go back on the other side of things. And it's going to take us some time still to get there, but it seems like things are finally starting to trend in a better direction. So fingers crossed sooner than later, because it has been legitimately over a year since any of us have kind of lived as normal. And I feel like it's going to have an everlasting impact on the work industry as well as a bunch of other things, but that is an entirely different topic that we can talk about elsewhere if you guys would like. The way this was supposed to work originally is there was going to be a bunch of regional tournaments. So the way that teams were signing up was that you had to play within people within your country, and it was like a representation, just like the World Cup or a world, Olympic event. So players from the United States had to play with players from the United States. Canada can only play with other Canadians. South America can only play, and you get the idea. And people go and represent their country. And there was supposed to be a like qualification event. You send like the best of your country to go represent United States or Canada or France or, whatever it was. And then they would go and play in Poland, and they would play 16 teams, and the top 7 would qualify. 7 would then join Japan on home territory. And then those top 8 would then play at the Olympics or leading into the Olympics. It was supposed to be super cool. I was trying to do stuff with ESPN and go do coverage over there. It was supposed to be a pretty big event and was supposed to be absolutely phenomenal, but all that stuff obviously fell apart. So that was the general premises. Get a first taste of Asian Rocket League on that kind of stage. You get regional pride and all this really cool stuff. None of it happens. $250,000 tournament. Jumping now to what it is now. And if you guys would like to follow along with this, again, description down below, but this is the updated format. There is registration that's going on from May 15th to May 31st, and open qualifiers will be from June 1st to June 13th. It is open to all players in the 21 participating regions. If you'd like to know who those regions and stuff are, in the link in the description, there's a rule book that you can download, and it has all the specifics of who, what regions, who can play, how old you have to be, all that kind of stuff. The closed qualifiers will then be from June 21st to June 27th, where the top teams from the open qualifiers will compete for a shot at the regional finals. And then the regional finals, which is July 11th to July 14th, is the best of the best from across the globe compete in 4 regional final events and their share of $250,000. So there's going to be 4 regional events, hopefully $50,000 a piece. Not sure how they're going to spread that out. But that's where it ends, and that's what's really depressing, because in the past, there would be these regional finals, and then from the regional final, you would go to an international final, and then the international final, you then go to the grand final event, which would have been the Olympics. But that's where it stops. After all of this, all this anticipation, the excitement of the Olympics and everything coming back, it is yet again another regional event. No international competition. There's no cross-region. It's just like a big kick in the nuts. Again we get the same exact thing. This time, instead of getting the teams that, like, I guess that's the one positive thing about this, is instead of seeing the same teams we see every single time, you're going to see a melting pot of professional players based upon the regions that they're in, unless they are a team that has everybody in that region already playing again within the same region. And it just feels so flat compared to what it's been. Like, the best Rocket League entertainment, like tournament wise, that's been coming out in a while is the show matches that Johnny Boy's been putting on for international competition, which I will talk about in a future video in a couple days here. It feels like more of the same, and it just doubles down on the same issue that we've been having. And I don't need to go on a tangent or rant about this. There's only so much we can do with the global pandemic, and I do understand it is a lot of ways to get exposure, and it's a cool concept overall, but without the live experience, it doesn't feel like it really holds up. It just feels like more of the same. There's a lot of people that are frustrated about like regions and who plays where and standalone tournaments and how that all plays out, but it's the same prize pool of $250,000, but they have to spread that out because of the different regions not being able to play because of ping and stuff. You have to be at least 16 years or older, assuming I'm reading this right. It says all players must be over 15, so they have to be at least 16 is what I'm seeing. It's a team-based competition that consists of 3 players. They have to come from the same territory or region. Cosmetic items and vehicles featuring licensed brands are not allowed just because of the exposure that it's going to bring. And there's a bunch of content creators actually being tied to this as well. I've seen in particular Musty, John Sandman, Sunless Khan, and others where there's something about how they will be there, or there will be some sort of attention to it, some sort of involvement of how that's going to apply. I don't know if they're just doing like official watch parties or something's happening. I hope they do something live, or they find a way to bring these people in studio. Genuinely, I have no idea how it's going to play out. I don't know what this is going to be or how this is going to be broadcasted, because there's going to be a lot of matches. There's going to be a big bracket. I don't know if they're going to leave it up to the community or if there's official channels on how this stuff applies. But although it'll be cool to see random teams to some extent playing and competing against each other, I'd much rather watch the show matches that Johnny Boy's putting on and getting Energy versus BDS and stuff like that. So yeah, it kind of sucks. And it leads me to the next part, which is the mentality that it's having an effect on some of these players. If you guys haven't seen it, Justin put out a twitlonger called Mentality and says, let me start this off by saying, no, I am not retiring. I will still be competing in the majors in the NA Championship. Makes sense. The only thing I won't be competing is in the Intel World Open. Just the thought of playing something that doesn't involve a LAN kind of ruins it for me, especially after playing a year of RLCSX and qualifying for Worlds just for it to be canceled. The reason for this is because I've been dealing with a lot of demotivation and just have been depressed. My mentality is nowhere near as good as it used to be. Main reason being no LANs. I miss going to LANs with my friends and close friends in the esport and of course my family. I miss taking pictures with fans and signing a bunch of stuff for fans around the world. Since COVID started, I've had the worst diet, the worst sleep schedule, and I would sometimes go without seeing the sun for months and still do to this day. Not going outside for months messes with you. He then goes further on talking about, you know, what it's like when he looks on the face cam when the majors and the regionals are going on, and how it's super dark in his room and he looks depressed and all this kind of stuff. And he's like, yeah, I am. And there's a lot of credit, I actually think, that goes to Justin for this. Obviously, the joke is the first step is denial. The second step is admitting you have a problem, all that kind of stuff. And part of that is true. You know, I'm sure for a while, Justin's like, nah, everything's fine. I'm just going to kind of push through it. But the fact that he's accepting that he is in this negative space and needs to do something about it, and if his solution, which again, we don't know the exact solution, but if his idea of taking away from doing something that feels very mundane and more of the same is a way to change it up, I commend him. I commend him not only for trying to make some changes happen, but even talking about it publicly. A lot of people, especially males in general, are told not to show their emotion and be the strong one and all that kind of stuff. And I'm glad you're seeing, especially in younger generations, learning that it is okay to do that. I've met both Justin's mom and dad. They're wonderful people. I love them both to death. I've shared shuttles with them and car rides to and from events and everything. And I know they're probably in recognition of it, but they also want to support their son's dream. And at this point, I hope Justin recognizes that even if it is for a little bit, like I, at the same time, and this is kind of my own thing, is I do 100% put a lot of emphasis on staying healthier. I've been working out. I've been putting on a new workout routine. I've been eating healthier. And every day when I wake up, I'm lucky that I have a lot of natural lighting in my apartment where I open all of my windows, my balcony door, everything, just because if I'm going to be sitting there or if I'm taking a business call or something, sitting on the balcony outside, getting some vitamin D is so important for your like mental health. It's such a big deal. And I think for a lot of these guys and kids that used to go to school and see their friends every single day, and now they're having to do school from at home or remote or something to that extent, and that change, because at the end of the day, Justin or other players in that younger age group, at the end of the day, like they may be professional players, but they are still high school kids. That's all they are. And it's just, I can't imagine the wear and tear at that age when you're so acclimated to doing the same thing over and over again, and all of a sudden just out of nowhere you've got to switch it off. And for some of us in the older generation, we can adjust to that. It's part of life, etc. But he's also 15, 16, 17, 18, and again, this is a generalization of the entire age group because Rocket League is a bit younger. That has got to do a ton on the mental toll when these guys are trying to develop and learn social skills and all the things that quite honestly I took for granted as a kid, even if my high school experience wasn't the greatest. I don't know what kind of things down the road this is going to cause, and it makes me a little bit worried, not only for just the sake of the kids playing and the younger pros and what kind of toll it's taking on them, but also the esport in general. Like the esport desperately needs to make some massive waves and try to transition into the live event situation as fast as they can. Part of that, I think, being limited is the fact that Epic Games and Apple are having their lawsuit situation going on, which we talked about a couple videos ago. But yeah, I think it's commendable. Justin even talking about it and publicly making people aware of it is not something he has to do. He could just go dark. He can 100% definitely take a step back and do his own thing and really, really focus on him. And I wouldn't blame him. He's been grinding for 11 months roughly of the same thing over and over again. Like that's just, it's just got to melt your mind after a while. So, and he doesn't really have a choice because it is his job and he's got to stay at the top. People calling him washed and criticizing and all this kind of stuff. Like at the end of the day, he's still a person. So yeah, I feel for him. I feel for everybody that's going through this stuff. It sucks. I'm lucky that I have gotten ahead of it and I'm trying to do other things that keep me busy. It's part of the reason why I'm working so much right now. And, people that watch my content or my mods on Twitch yell at me all the time to take breaks. But the reason why I really don't, admitting it to myself here live, is I just need to be distracted, because if I'm alone with my own thoughts, I probably will go insane from being inside for the past year plus, not being able to travel. Like I went from flying 130,000 miles a year and pretty much living on the road. And although at first I did appreciate being home, I miss traveling and seeing my streamer friends and people that I'd never get to see. And it sucks. It really sucks. And I think it's going to have an effect on not only the players, but also the esport as a whole if things don't change soon. And the fact that the Intel World Open, the original topic, is showcasing that it is yet another regional event when you're seeing others try to go back to the real life. CDL just announced that they're going to be having LANs again soon. It makes you wonder when it's going to happen for Rocket League. So that is the Intel World Open news I have for you, as well as a little bit of a rant about the mentality situation. I feel for you, Justin, man. I hope it gets better for you. But first step, go outside, go for some walks, do something. Always here to talk. If anybody else like that is struggling or don't be afraid to leave that information in the comments. This community, I want to be a positive one. I want it to be a mature one. And obviously that can be asking for a lot in the YouTube comments, but I want people to be supportive. I've been commending a lot of you for having healthy conversation about some of these topics in the comments, as well as I do really appreciate it. I'm ready for this stuff to all be over. I think a lot of us are. I'm just going to wrap it up for this video for your Rocket League news. If you guys do have any other additional questions, comments, concerns, drop those down below. Again, we normally do a Q&A day on Sundays, but There's a lot of information coming out that we got to discuss. So we're going to have to put that one off until next Sunday. But if you guys do, as always, have questions that you would like me to answer, drop those down below. I make sure to go back and look as much as I can. Or feel free to tweet at me at Lawler TV. I also check those and do some of those questions in my videos as well. Other than that, if you guys enjoyed the content, give it a thumbs up, hit subscribe, and we will see you next time. Peace.